Hello YouTube, welcome to Termite Woodworks, and also welcome to my bedroom. This is our dresser. The reason I'm showing is because my wife has a little project that she wants me to do. She wants me to build a couple of corner shelves to go up over along our bed on the corners of the wall, just to put some, knickknacks and ornaments and that sort of thing. But she wants it to match this furniture, and that's kind of tough to do. This furniture is an oddball kind of silver champagne color. It's got some mirrors along the bottom. It's a little different. It's not like a like a natural wood kind of color. That would be a little easier, I think, to match. But I'll show you what I came up with and see if you like it, and then I'll show you how I built it. So the first step in the project is to rip down the 3/4 inch plywood that we're going to use for the backer pieces that are going to go up against the wall. And I'm cutting them here to 11 3/4 with a circular saw, and I'm using a jig to cut in a straight line. You can find 100 videos online how to make these jigs. They're super easy, super cheap. Next I just refined the cut on the table saw so that it's nice and parallel. And then I cut one end 90 degrees on the crosscut sled. You know how sometimes you have those pieces that are just a little too long for your crosscut sled? They stick off on the end. I just wanted to share with you guys this little jig that I made here. And it's really simple. It's just, aluminum dowel and a couple of little wood blocks. And I made a little adjustable stop system for those longer pieces. Super easy to use too. I just measure from the slot out to the block, lock it down, and now I can make accurate, repeatable cross cuts. And all my pieces will be exactly the same size. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting all my shelf pieces to their final dimension, which is 36 inches long. Alright, I've got all my pieces here for the sides cut up. They're all exactly the same size now and squared up. My next step is I'm going to go ahead and cut some dados in here to put my shelves into. I'm using 1/2 inch plywood for the shelves. Of course, it's not really a 1/2 inch, so I'm using this undersized router bit set from Whiteside. So let's go ahead and get those cut up. Now I'm just going to do a little preliminary assembly here, and I made these little assembly aid pieces here with it's just a perfectly 90 cut piece of plywood with some holes drilled in it. And I can clamp my piece together and hold it while I put screws in it. Next I just go ahead and drill some holes. And screw it together. Now I want to make sure that both sides of the shelf are the exact same length, so it's a good time to run it through the table saw and just take a little bit off each side, and that way I can ensure that it's exactly the same length on both sides. Now it's time to make the shelves, and for that we're going to use some 1/2 inch plywood. Got my two middle shelves fitting perfectly. Now the lower and the upper shelf, they don't fit perfectly, at least not yet. They're too long because there's no dado here. And there's two reasons why I did it that way. One of them is because I wanted to show you guys that if you don't have the ability to make those dados, you can still make this type of shelf just by butting it up there and putting screws from the back. Won't be a big deal. The other reason is just because I'm just lazy. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Also, you can see I've numbered all the shelves to their corresponding spot. That way they don't get confused because everyone fits just right where they're at. Now, just to make it a little more decorative, I'm going to cut the corner off each of these shelves. I went ahead and put a pencil mark there exactly where I want to cut the corner, because inevitably I will cut the wrong corner if I don't mark them. So make sure you mark all your work. Since I don't have any of the commercial style stick-on edge banding, I'm just going to go ahead and cut some thin strips on the bandsaw. And then I'm going to take it over, and this is one of those moments that I really wish I had a drum sander, but some hand sandpaper is just going to have to do the trick. Some of those Rockler bandy clamps would really be nice right now, but blue tape is just going to have to do. Alright, so all my shelves are done and all the edge banding is done. And my next step is I kind of wanted to mimic the bottom side of our existing furniture. It's got these like little mirrors on it and stuff. So I want to go ahead and try and reproduce this at, somewhat close. I know I can never get exactly like it, but I'm going to try and keep the theme is what I'm trying to say. And so what I'm going to do is attach the bottom shelf on here just preliminary so I can get measurements for some molding and stuff. And then I'm going to take everything apart and put the finish on it. Right, so no one had the color I needed. I went to Home Depot, Lowe's, I went Sherwin-Williams, everywhere. They can't mix up a latex paint that is metallic in nature. So as much searching as I did, I ended up finding this at a craft store. It's a spray paint that matches it like 90%. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, but it's going to take 300 cans to do it. So to seal the wood so it doesn't suck up all the paint, I'm going to go ahead and use this product. It's a shellac based primer. Put a coat of this on there. It should keep it from soaking up all my spray paint. So hate using spray paint, but that's my only option. Well, somehow I forgot to hit the record button, so you guys missed the totally exciting part where I take a roller and apply the primer. But then I just smoothed it out with a little sandpaper, and now I can apply my first coat of spray paint. Paint's all dry, time to start putting it together. So my next step is to add these bottom pieces, and what I'm planning on doing is drilling some recessed holes here with a Forstner bit, and then screwing up from the bottom, then plugging them off so you can't see them anymore. Let's go up to the drill press. Alright, so I kind of screwed up. I attached the skirt here to the edge of the shelving unit, and after I was done with it, I went and looked at the camera and it said memory card full, so it never captured that. It wasn't a really big deal though. I mean, if you look at it, it's just, you know, put the pieces up against here with some glue and then just drove screws in. It was just not a big deal. Now what I'm going to do is, if you look here, there's an exposed plywood edge there that looks ugly. I need to cover that up. And what I'm using is, let's see if the camera will focus on it. It's like in the molding section at Home Depot. It's really cheap. It's 3/4 inches wide. The edges are rounded over. And I'm just going to cut the 22.5 degree miters and just walk it around, dressing up that little edge. So let's get to the miter gauge on the table saw and take care of that. And then what I like to do, just to get the right spacing, is I made a little test piece here that's got a 22.5 degree bevel. I can hold it there just to get it perfectly aligned. Well, messed that up. Try it again. Alright, now it's lined up good. Boom. Then, since I don't like to measure, wipe off my glue mess. Alright, now make a mark. And when I make my mark, I like to put the angle on it that I'm supposed to cut. Come on, focus camera. That way I don't mess it up when I go to the miter gauge. So I actually had to cut it 3 times. I usually like to cut these like a little on the big side, on a little fat. That way, you know, you could always cut off more, but you can't add to it. So I just kind of sneak up on it, and to me, like, that's the easiest way to get it right, because I'm not that great at measuring it out just perfect. And I can use my little test piece. It fits real good there. Just glue and nails. One more piece. Now I'm just going to go ahead and plug up these screw holes here, and just doing some 1/2-inch dowel. Have to take a little off the edge there. A little glue. Alright, so I'm going to repeat that process, the exact same thing on the bottom edge of this skirt. Instead of using that flat type 3/4 material, I got this this molding from Home Depot, and it's got a little step in it, and that step sits on this ledge real well. So it's kind of perfect for the edge. I don't know what this is normally used for. I'm going to just put those 22.5-degree cuts here and just work my way around just like I did with this piece. So all the molding is on, pretty much ready to go here. Just need to fill in these little nail holes, little putty, and a little sanding action, and touch up the paint where the molding was added, and that's it. So my last step here before I install this thing is I'm going to install these little 1-inch mirrors around the skirt area, and it serves 2 purposes for me personally. Is it helps match the other furniture because the dresser has mirrors along the bottom, and the other is that my project is less than perfect, and these mirrors kind of, I think they help distract. They kind of call your attention away, and you know, you don't notice the imperfections as much. So I already assembled the other shelf, and I did it all by eyeball. It worked out pretty well. I just kind of laid these on here, and what I did was, just worked out perfect for me, this welding rod. If I put it on the bottom, it kind of spaces them pretty much centered on here. And then what I did was I just put a little dab of liquid nails. About an 1/8 inch separation. Kind of worked out for me. I like to kind of position them first, and then I pick them up one by one and put the glue on them. This one needs to come over a little bit. That looks pretty good. And lift the first one out. And just use a little construction adhesive, it doesn't take much. Alright, I'll finish gluing these up and I'll show you the final product. Well folks, the shelves are all done and I've already installed them in the bedroom. So before I take you in there to take a look at them, I just wanted to say if you enjoyed this video, if you got any ideas out of it, maybe something you can build for yourself, please hit subscribe, hit like, and hopefully my goal for this year is to get more videos out. I just haven't had the time with my normal job and everything, but that's kind of my goal for this year. But please hit subscribe, please hit like, and hopefully we'll have something else in the future that you might like to take a look at. As for now, I'm going to take you in the bedroom and we can see how my shelves turned out.